I have seen wealthy men walk into my courtroom believing money could make problems disappear. But the morning Jonathan Pierce looked across the room at a homeless veteran and said, "Sue me," something inside that courtroom changed. He said it calmly, almost lazily, like the man sitting across from him did not matter. The veteran's name was Thomas Riley. He was 64 years old. He wore an old army jacket, held a plastic folder in both hands, and kept one photograph tucked carefully inside it. A photograph of his service dog, Scout. Jonathan Pierce was a millionaire real estate developer. Custom suit, expensive watch, attorney beside him. Public image built on charity events and veteran fundraisers. Thomas had no lawyer, no home, no money. Only a receipt, a hospital bracelet, and the last proof of the dog that had kept him alive. And when Jonathan said, "Sue me," he believed Thomas would never be able to do it. He was wrong. The case arrived on my docket as a simple civil claim. Property damage, medical costs, compensation. The amount was not large to a man like Jonathan Pierce, $4,800. To him that was a dinner, a hotel suite, a line item on a card statement. To Thomas Riley, it was everything. That is something people forget about court. The weight of a case is not measured by the number on the page. It is measured by what that number means to the person asking for it. Thomas had filed the claim himself. His handwriting was uneven but careful. He wrote that Jonathan Pierce's hotel security had destroyed his belongings outside the Graymont Hotel. He wrote that his service dog had been injured. He wrote that his backpack, medication, military records, identification papers, and personal photographs had been thrown away. Then he wrote one final line. When I asked him to stop, he laughed and told me to sue him. No dramatic words, no exaggeration, just 6 lines. People who lie often decorate. People who are humiliated usually simplify. When Thomas entered the courtroom, I noticed the effort first. His boots were old but wiped clean. His hair was combed back with water. His army jacket had a tear near the cuff, but the patches were straight. He had shaved, though not perfectly. He wanted to be respected, that mattered. He moved like a man in pain, the kind that comes from sleeping too many nights on benches, shelter floors, and sidewalks where the body never fully rests. Jonathan entered 10 minutes later with his attorney, Martin Hayes, and an assistant carrying a leather folder. He moved like the courtroom was an inconvenience that had somehow wandered into his schedule. Martin stood first. "Your Honor, this is unfortunate, but it has been misunderstood. My client did not personally damage Mr. Riley's belongings. Security personnel removed unattended items from hotel property after Mr. Riley refused to leave." I looked at Thomas. "He stayed still," Martin continued. "The hotel has policies. The entrance must remain safe and presentable for guests." There it was, presentable, a word that sounds clean until you see what it is covering. I turned to Thomas. "Mr. Riley, tell me what happened." He stood slowly and held the table for balance. "It was raining, Your Honor. I was sitting near the side wall, not in front of the doors, just under the awning." He opened the folder. "My dog was under my coat. He was cold." "Your dog's name?" I asked. "Scout." The name softened his face for 1 second. Then it disappeared. Thomas said he had slept outside the Graymont Hotel for 3 nights. The veterans' shelter did not open intake until Monday, and he was just trying to stay dry until then. Scout was not just a pet. Scout was his service dog. The papers in his folder proved it. Scout helped him through panic attacks, nightmares, and the moments when old memories pulled him somewhere dark. That morning, Jonathan Pierce arrived for an investor breakfast. Thomas said Jonathan saw him near the side entrance and asked a guard, "Why is this still here?" Not who. What. Security moved toward Thomas. He tried to gather his things. He told them he would leave. He said he only needed a minute because Scout was slow to stand in the cold. But a guard grabbed the backpack first. Inside were Thomas's medication, VA papers, military discharge copy, ID documents, socks, a charger, and an envelope of photographs. Thomas reached for it. Another guard pushed him back. Scout tried to get between them. Then Thomas heard the sound he could barely describe. Scout yelped. The courtroom became very still. Thomas said the backpack went into a rolling trash bin. His blanket followed, his documents followed, his medication followed, his photographs followed. Jonathan stood under the awning watching. Thomas called out, "Sir, please." "Those are my papers." Jonathan turned. Thomas said, "You can't just throw my life away." And Jonathan said, "Sue me." Then he walked inside for breakfast. Thomas spent 4 hours searching dumpsters behind the hotel. He found a wet blanket and one sock. He did not find the medication. He did not find the VA papers. He did not find the photographs. Scout was limping badly by then. A church volunteer helped Thomas get him to an animal clinic. The clinic treated Scout even though Thomas could not pay. 2 days later, Scout stopped eating. 6 days later, Scout died. No one spoke. Even Jonathan's attorney stopped writing. Thomas looked down at the photograph in his hand. "I had him 9 years," he said. "He woke me up when I was having nightmares. He knew before I did when I was going to panic. He was the reason I was still trying." I looked at Jonathan. His face did not show grief. It showed calculation. That disturbed me more. "Is there video?" I asked. "Your Honor, the footage does not show every angle." That was not my question. "Is there video?" A pause. "Yes." "Then we will watch it." The courtroom monitor turned on. Rain streaked across the camera. Thomas was visible near the side entrance, not blocking the door. Scout was curled under a coat beside him. Jonathan walked into frame. He pointed. A guard approached. Thomas stood slowly, raising one hand like he was trying to explain. The guard grabbed the backpack. Thomas reached for it. The second guard moved in. Scout stood, trying to get between them. Then one guard's foot came down hard near the dog. Scout jerked back, even without audio. Everyone saw it. Thomas dropped to his knees. The backpack went into the bin. Jonathan watched. Thomas turned toward him and spoke. His hands were shaking. Jonathan answered, smiled, and walked inside. The footage ended for several seconds. No one moved. "Mr. Pierce," I said, "did you tell Mr. Riley to sue you?" His attorney whispered fast. Jonathan leaned back. "I don't recall the exact words." That answer told me enough. Powerful people often remember exact words perfectly. They just read when those words reached the record. "Did you instruct security to remove his belongings?" I told them to handle the situation. The situation was a homeless veteran sitting in the rain with a service dog. "The situation," Jonathan said, "was a hotel entrance affecting guest experience. Guest experience, a dead dog, a man on his knees in the rain. Medication thrown away." And the phrase he chose was guest experience. I looked at Thomas. "What was in the envelope of photographs?" He swallowed. "My daughter, my old unit." "Scout." "Why were they important?" His hand tightened. "Because sometimes I forget what I used to be." The room broke quietly. A woman in the back covered her mouth. Thomas continued. "When you sleep outside long enough, people stop seeing you. Then you start doing it too. Those pictures reminded me I was a father, a soldier, a man with a dog who trusted me." And then the courtroom doors opened. A woman stepped forward from the back row. She was in her 30s, wearing a gray coat, tears already in her eyes. "Your Honor," she said, "I'm his daughter." Thomas turned so quickly I thought he might fall. "Emily?" he whispered. She nodded. "I saw the case listing online. I wasn't sure it was him. I came because I had to know." Thomas covered his mouth with one hand. Emily looked at me. "I haven't seen my father in 6 years, but I know that dog. He sent me one picture once from a library computer. He said Scout was the reason he was still